Marshall Peak Chapter 13. Just you wait. When this was revealed, something clicked inside the heads of the onlookers. Many people could not help but turn to look at Sumu with disbelief in their eyes. He had also met the boss daughter. Even though she wasn't outrageously beautiful, she was still a work of art. An alluring body accompanied with delicate features, a slim figure, which made her easily the most beautiful girl in the entire village at the small age of 14. Sullivan, ha ha ha, isn't that a little young? What's more, an alluring body. Such a young girl had unfortunately caught Sumu's eye, provoking such trouble. Sumu's face was as red as a tomato, trying to deny the truth. Sneering, the man continued to say, I have said no lies. Even though we two brothers have our faults and done some criminal acts, slandering Bosky and poisoning his rice, this is something we would never do. Fellow people, you should know that sabotaging others' livelihoods is equal to sabotaging my own. So how can I survive? Everything was instigated by this little brat. His statement was very sincere, causing everybody to start laughing. In a timely manner, Yan Kai asked, after this was over, how much did he promise to give? 52 silvers. The man replied, 52. Yan Kai softly said while nodding. During this banter, boss, he was listening carefully. This made him understand the situation thoroughly. Turning towards Sumu, he angrily said, You despicable person. You actually dared to use such dirty methods to get my daughter. Thankfully she has eyes and saw your true face. Ah, how could High Heaven Pavilion have such a degenerate disciple? You are ruining your sect's good name. You are vain and selfish, completely opposite to Brother Yan. I feel ashamed for your mother and father. Surrounding merchants also started to feel more contempt towards Sumu's outrageous acts. Sumu's face was bright red, for he knew that he could no longer come back to Black Plum Village, for his mask had been taken away and his true face had been revealed. And the source of all his misfortunes was in front of him, this disciple. If not for him, he would have been able to win the boss' favor and further his reputation. That would have made it easier to create the daughter's love for him. But all that planning had gone to waste. Not only had he failed to gain any reputation, he had also lost reputation he had previously for being a disciple of High Heaven Pavilion. Under that situation, Sumu put on a calm face and turned towards Yan Kai and asked, Brother, how may I call you, you guess? Yan Kai replied with a wink. Taking a deep breath, Sumu said, Though you may have chosen to withhold your identity, I will able to find out. For you have already entered the school for 3 years. Yet you are not even an ordinary disciple. That means you are a trial disciple, and within the entire school, there are only a few of you. Finding you will be simple. When he finished, he immediately turned round and left. In the end, he did have some strength. For those who blocked his path, he pushed them to the side. Stumping away unhindered, when he had left, the people had only just remembered the 2 Han men. But where were they? There was no trace, for when Yan Kai and Sumu were arguing, they had sneakily ran away. The debacle had finally been resolved. Yan Kai was satisfied, for he had exposed the deceit, gained approval from the merchants and boss. He was especially grateful to him. That waiter also looked at Yan Kai in worship. After the crowd dispersed, the boss wife also came out. Taking Yan Kai's hand, the more she looked, the more she came to like him. On the contrary, boss Pc was full of worry. Virtuous nephew Yan, today you have offended Sumu. I'm afraid that in the future, this will cause you ceaseless trouble. After this incident, boss, he started to refer to Yan Kai more intimately. Yan Kai just smiled. The main gate has its own rules, so even if he hates me to death, he can't do anything. Even so, you must be careful, nephew. If because of your involvement in this matter you were to suffer misfortune, then this uncle would worry greatly. He consoled. Yan Kai was immensely grateful to the He couple for extending a helping hand. They even insisted he stay for dinner, Originally, Yan Kai wanted to, but was scared away by the boss wife. "Little Yan, where are your parents? Where do you live? Have you married already?" Looking at this, knowing this, Yan Kai hardly laughed. When he left, he was carrying a bag of white rice, but it far surpassed the amount 20 silvers could get you. So for an entire month, Yan Kai didn't have to worry about his meals. Originally, Yan Kai was worried that Sumu would ambush him on his way back. For as innocent as Sumu looked, he was a sinister and treacherous snake on the inside. This was not impossible. Though, even when Yan Kai returned, Sumu hadn't appeared. He thought about it carefully. Not attacking was the correct choice. Even though duels between disciples often resulted in death, the main gate didn't allow the needless killing of others. In short, if Sumu had attacked on his way back to the sect, then when things leaked out, it would have resulted in his own doom too. If he wanted to deal with Yan Kai, then he would definitely come to challenge him while making a fuss too. As for the matter of Yan Kai's identity, there is no doubt that he would be able to find it. In the High Heaven Pavilion, as long as Sumu inquired a bit, then naturally he would find his identity. Sumu's true strength was something that Yan Kai could not full confirm, but he most definitely was at the peak of the tempered body boundary. The only thing was, he didn't know what stage Sumu was in. Knowing this, Yan Kai swiftly returned back to his hut to practice. At this hour, he was unable to practice the tempered body record, but he could practice the basic skills that the school gave. These basic skills were to establish the foundations for the tempered body, to achieve spiritual consumption beyond his own body. This was the aim. Mirza, it's talking about things like Kiki spiritual energy. Yan Kai's previous usage of the Shaolin arts and the leg whip were all based around his foundation work. If not for this, then the skills couldn't be considered true martial arts. They would only be considered as the basic of basic skills, essential for all to learn. To the left of Yan Kai's hut was a wooden figure. This was made from a century-old tree by Yan Kai to practice on. Small dents were littered over it. There were even traces of blood. These were all made through Yan Kai many days of diligent training. Assuming his position, Yan Kai started to hit the wooden man. He infused all his might into each strike, beating the wooden man relentlessly. Pang rang out as he struck the wooden man. However, after a few strikes, he felt that something was amiss. It was his own fists and legs, so he clearly felt that they were stronger than before. From the strike and the sound it made, all of them were stronger and more stable, incomparable to before. And over time, his hand and the bones started to feel numb and warm. This clearly indicated that he was stimulating his meridians, increasing his atmospheric affinity. Reaching the tempered body fourth stage gives birth to the atmospheric affinity, developing your meridians further and allowing you to sense the energy more clearly. This warm feeling was Yan Kai's meridians developing. Martial Peak Chapter 14. In sense, Yan Kai practiced until the sun set. Only then did he stop. Even after this period of time, not only was he not fatigued, he even felt more alive. Ever since he merged with that golden skeleton, his strength seemed to skyrocket. Walking 20 miles today didn't even tire him out. Even with the added weight of the sack of rice, he did not show the slightest trace of being fatigued. It was only when he was cultivating his tempered body that he would truly feel pressure. Thinking about that morning's practice, Yan Kai couldn't help but shudder. That pressure was like the heaven and earth were crushing him. Absolutely horrifying. But with strain pressure come development. Without extreme pressure, how could you possibly advance? Only then would a person's true potential show. And only then would your strength grow step by step, each time breaking past your limits. Though currently, even after throwing large amounts of punches and kicks out, Yan Kai has yet to feel any fatigue. He doesn't feel strained. How can he force out his potential and improve? This made things difficult and made him depressed. That skeleton also gave him extreme recovery, making the basic skills of the school useless. Did that mean that he could only practice for half an hour each day at sunrise? Daylight had around 12 full hours, and yet he could only practice for half an hour. What would he do the rest of the time? Sleep? That was obviously impossible. Yan Kai immediately rejected the idea. Mirza, while getting stronger by only practicing 30 minutes each day while sleeping the rest. Lucky Ben, so glad he's not following in the footsteps of Contribution Hall Uncle while he absent-mindedly cooked. Yan Kai thought about how he should train to exhaustion. If anyone else knew of this, they would have laughed to death. Other practitioners may have wanted to take it easier, but Yan Kai wanted to push himself to the limit. In the end, he still couldn't think of any good methods. Though the main reason was Yan Kai needed elixirs to help boost his training. There were also other methods, but in the end, all of these had one thing in common: they required money. In High Heaven Pavilion, contribution points were the currency. Alas, Yan Kai was poor and only had a measly 12 points. After the rice finished cooking, he wolfed down a few bowls. Although there were no side dishes and he could only eat plain rice, Yan Kai was very satisfied. That was the only meal in the past few days, which made him full. After dinner, he couldn't go train, so he went to take a bath. After that he lay down and went to bed. Continuing his practice, there would be no result, so he might as well try to solve that problem. Consider the solutions to hasten the work speed. After thinking for a while, he suddenly remembered the black book. One of the pages had something inside, so Yan Kai figured that the other pages would be the same. So if he had enough strength, he could unseal each page. The first page contained the golden skeleton, which was also the cause of his current predicament, while the second dealt with the methods to cultivate the tempered body with golden skeleton. However, the third page remained blank. He had already tried to decipher it, but Yan Kai concluded he wasn't strong enough yet. With the first and second pages unlocked, Yan Kai could start to study them. But after a good half-day, he still couldn't figure them out. Until he accidentally turned to the third page and went into a trance. Almost instantly, countless gold words started to appear on the page and jumped into his mind. Then a small gold bolt started to appear in the center of the page. From it rose an antique incense burner. This turn of events left Yan Kai in shock, but quickly he started to rejoice. Although it was only one level, it had still hindered his ability to comprehend the third page. After he thought about this, Yan Kai couldn't help but feel regret. If this morning he had discovered this, then he wouldn't need to waste time now thinking about it. Calming his beating heart, Yan Kai held the incense burner and carefully inspected it. This burner wasn't large in size and was a common item used by people, but it was half sealed, with a lid on the mouth and a few holes. It was also antique and of outstanding quality, but it wasn't attention-grabbing at all. He took a sniff, but after noticing there was no odor, he slowly lowered it. After a short pause, Yan Kai opened his eyes with a strange look in them. According to the information in his mind, this incense burner could aid him during training. The burner itself has no special properties, however, if you were to gather herbs and burn them in it, the fragrance released would aid you during training. Different herbs were needed for different stages. Unfortunately, Yan Kai had some doubts. The plants needed to aid him at his current level were the three-leaved Destruction Chest Spirit Flower and the dead Jedi Tree Grass. According to his understanding, The values of these two herbs were not high, but they were very hard to find. They also possessed small amounts of toxins, inhaled over a short period of time, and these toxins will cause lasting damage to the body. These herbs were definitely available in the contribution hall, but with old man Meng's personality, he would definitely charge high prices for them. And with only a few points in his possession, how could he spend them like that? There was only one option left. He would have to venture into the Black Wind Mountains to look for them himself. Yan Kai had already hunted in there before, so was quite familiar with its geography, and perhaps the herbs were there. The next morning, Yan Kai got up early. Yesterday's practice had already had such a large impact on his cultivation, so naturally he would make full use of the short time he had to cultivate. Not to mention, he was not the kind to laze about. While immersing himself in the purple eastern air as that slow, but with the might of heaven and earth infused, tempered body record fists might gradually unfolded. While he was a stage stronger than yesterday, Yan Kai still didn't make much progress on the fist. You could only perform it 20 times, and when he touched his back, Torch's pain responded. His back, hip, and bones all ached. They felt like smashed beans. Inhaling a mouthful of purple gas, his bodily senses as energy became clearer. His meridians all opened up and began to expel the impurities within his body.